Hello, I'm Attorney Lewis Haskell, and today is the 3rd of July. There was an expectation that Trump's one big, beautiful bill would be brought to a vote and be passed today. It looks like that is going to happen tomorrow, but it does look like it is going to happen. And because it looks like it's actually going to become a law, I am making my first video on the subject. I will make many more, just like I did when the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, the so-called Trump tax cuts, passed back in 2017. Again, the final bill will not be until tomorrow, which is the 4th of July. And there's been a lot of commentary about this bill because there is a lot that's in the bill. Baron von Bismarck warned against watching how sausages and laws are made. And this one was made about as ugly as pretty much every other big bill Congress passes, quite frankly. There is a lot of things in there, and it's generated a lot of controversy. The most important thing that this bill does is that it extends the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, the so-called Trump's tax cuts. Those were set to expire at the end of this year, meaning that pretty much all of my clients who pay taxes or even assess taxes but don't pay because of credits, we're going to see a huge tax increase or huge refund decrease in 2026. There are a lot of important provisions in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that were set to expire. $2,000 child tax credit was set to go back to $1,000. Now, it will not be going down. In fact, my understanding is it's increasing to $2,200 this year. The expanded tax brackets are sticking around. For a single person this year, the standard deduction would be $15,000, $30,000 for a married couple. That was slated to halve next year, so $7,500 plus inflation and $15,000 plus inflation. Instead, it'll be $15,000 plus and $30,000 plus next year. The 12% tax bracket is going to stay 12% rather than going to 15%. The 22% and 24% tax brackets are going to stay where they are rather than going to 25 and 28%. So again, for middle income taxpayers especially, that is a huge amount of tax relief. So the big tax increases, which I so feared would happen if they didn't do anything, are not happening. In fact, if anything, the situation is improving for my clients. But I had some fear. That fear is gone. So that is good. There are some other provisions in the bill, which I'm not going to talk about now, but will in the future, the so-called no tax on tips, the so-called no tax on overtime, increased deduction for seniors, no tax on Social Security, so-called, could not be put into a reconciliation bill because it actually affects the Social Security Trust Fund. So that would have been a problem there. The interest deduction for motor vehicles, the EV credits, all the other things that people have been talking about, I'll talk about in subsequent videos. And I will also be discussing the immigration consequences of the bill because, well, I do immigration too. And so that's an important issue for myself and for my clients. So I'll be talking about it and educating myself on it. The politics of it, although I do get my little jabs in here and there, is not as important to me as the impact that it has on my clients and how I, number one, get to use the provisions of the bill to help reduce their taxes, and where appropriate, where I need to do some planning to help mitigate the adverse effects of the tax law. That being said, I look forward to making more videos and updating you about this very important piece of legislation after it passes, presumably tomorrow. Thank you.